Welcome inside the RX Muscle Studios in New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as #AskDave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. Glad you can join us on this Wednesday afternoon, 30-minute question and answers with Dave Palumbo. Ask anything from diet, training, IFBB pros, competitions. We're obviously in the thick of the contest season. Supplementation, whatever is on your mind, it is all up for asking Dave. Best I Hate This Show gets neutralized by Species Nutrition pre-workout, and the best overall question of the show gets neutralized as well as a Species gym bag. Special programming note, right after this show, we are going to be debuting our brand new show called Live With. It is going to be a 30-minute interview show. We're going to have some of the biggest newsmakers, biggest athletes in the entire industry, and we're going to start it off with Janae Marie Kroc, formerly known as Matt Kroc. And with that, we bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, Janae Marie Kroc making a lot of news, obvious reasons, a transgender athlete, and it's going to be a big opportunity for RX Muscle, 4:35 with the new show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the interview. You know, I interviewed her as Matt Kroc a number of years back. He had done a 1,000-pound squat, which is just unheard of. He told me some of the great, incredible, and I'm sure we'll talk about him today, injuries that he's endured during his powerlifting career. Then he switched to bodybuilding. And, you know, I didn't really know anything about this, but evidently he'd been living his life, you know, a little bit, you know, I guess out of the shadows, so to speak, in his home as a woman, you know, and then crossing over as a man and back and forth. And I don't know if it was Bruce Jenner or what made him all of a sudden decide to announce to the world that he is now going to live as a woman. But, you know, we'll find out what the story is. And he's a good guy. I like him a lot. You know, now he's a good girl, and we'll find out everything that entails with that. You know, I'm not always the most politically correct person. I'm going to ask him the questions. What is the politically correct thing to say in different situations, et cetera, et cetera. So it should be a good show.
And then tomorrow night, 7 p.m. right here on RxMuscle.com, Iron Debate returns, special guest John Romano. And one of the questions which we're going to tease in this next show is going to be about transgendered athletes and whether it's fair for them to compete in the opposite gender divisions post-operation. 30 minutes, you can ask your questions on the Muscle Central Forum on RxMuscle.com. It is free to register if you're not already a member. On our Instagram page, Instagram.com/official_RxMuscle, on our Facebook page, or you can tweet to us using #AskDave, or if you're watching directly on livestream.com on the live chat box below. Let's go to the Muscle Central Forum first, and we bring in Iron Brian 82, and of course, big news from the world of Species and RX Muscle, and of course, Dave Palumbo. Dave, before we ask the question, congratulations to you and Amanda expecting. Is it a baby boy or a girl?
Baby boy.
All right. So, Mini Palumbo, have you narrowed down a list of names?
No, we're arguing because every time I bring up like an unusual name, Amanda gets pissed at me and she thinks I'm like making a joke about the whole process, and then we wind up arguing about it. But we have a couple of names that we actually kind of both agree on, but it's tough. And you know what? I'm not putting any pressure on it because I believe the name will present itself when the time is right, and it'll just kind of hit us on the noggin, and we'll be like, oh yeah, of course, that's the name, and we'll pick it. So, but it's cool that it's a boy. You know, my dad had 5 brothers and 2 sisters. Of all the brothers, I was the only male, I guess you could say child. So I'm the last to carry on the Palumbo name, which might be a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But now that I have a son, I guess the name will continue for at least another generation.
So the first question relevant to that topic from Iron Brian 82. First, I would like to congratulate Dave and Amanda on their pregnancy. Dave, did you use the baby-making protocol? If so, was it the aggressive one? And how long did it take for Amanda to catch after the miscarriage? And you're expecting a boy, which breaks the mold with all bodybuilders having girls.
Yeah, you know, I used the aggressive baby-making protocol because Amanda and I have no patience, and so it worked like a charm, as I thought it would. You know, it's all about science. You know, unless there's something, some kind of physical defect in your testicular region, if you follow this protocol, it works. I mean, it's pretty foolproof. Look, I took anabolics for 13 years. I was on hormone replacement for another 10 after that. And I got her pregnant, no problem, twice. You know, unfortunately, the first time was a miscarriage. The second time, it took about 2 months. You know, because you really can't get them after the miscarriage. You know, her hormonal levels were off a little bit, so it took about 3 months, I think, and then I got her pregnant. But it works well. You know, HMG, HCG, and some clone, and worked like a charm.
Let's go to BB 50 plus. Dave, I'm sick of coming up with reasons why the show sucks so bad. Let's get to it. With your medical school background of hacking away on cadavers, I thought you may be able to answer a question on what some are calling intraset stretching or fascia stretching. Is this technique worthwhile, or is fascia tissue just too stiff or even stretch and allow more hypertrophy to occur?
Well, you know, surrounding every muscle in our body is a sheath. Now, when you do, when I took gross anatomy in school, as you're getting to the muscle and you're cutting through the cadaver, there's this like, it looks almost like saran wrap almost, and that's what's known as the fascia that surrounds the muscle. Now, it's a very thick, you know, sheath, and it doesn't act like saran wrap. It's much tighter than that. So a lot of the theories out there were that, you know, the muscle won't grow as easily if the sheath is too stiff and it doesn't stretch well. And, you know, that may or may not be true. So a lot of people started getting into it. John Perillo was one of the first people to advocate it. You know, serious, intensive, they called it fascial stretching. It's just stretching of the muscle in between sets to enable to expand more. I don't know if it actually works or not. It makes you grow better. I used to have a lot of ART or active release techniques, which kind of breaks up scar tissue and breaks up adhesions, done to my calves, because my calves were always a weaker body part earlier in my career. And whether it helped or not, I'm not really sure. It wasn't like traumatic or anything like that. But I like to stretch a little bit. I don't like overstretching. You know, I took yoga for a little while, and I would... The sessions would last an hour and a half, and then a lot of times I'd go to the gym after that, and I'm telling you, I would hurt myself in the gym because I was too flexible almost. So don't overstretch, because that can lead to injury, but I do like to do some basic stretching either before you start training or during your sets. That's fine, but the intense stretching, once again, can sometimes damage the ligaments and tendons, can weaken them a little bit, overstretch them a little bit, and if you're lifting seriously heavy weights, that could be dangerous.
Let's go to Reliable Sauce in the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com. Dave, your show produces more crap than your Fiberlize ever could. Very nice. Now that Amanda is pregnant, congratulations, by the way, do you have any plans to pack on the size again?
No. I always say, when you have a baby, and I was talking to Don Long about this, because Don Long's wife is due in October. Ironically enough, that both of us waited till we were in our late 40s to decide to have kids, and we've been commiserating with each other about, you know, the process and what's going on. He's a little ahead of us, obviously, going to give birth in October. We're not giving birth till January. But, you know, as we lose weight, the baby will gain weight, or maybe it's vice versa. As the baby gains muscle, I will lose muscle. Hopefully not too severely, but, you know, there's no reason to be setting any records at this point. You know, another bodybuilder just died down in South Carolina. My good friend Martinus Hagens informed me of it, and you know, I just hear about a lot of these guys. They're just big, huge guys in their 40s, dropping dead of heart attacks. I'm not looking to go there, especially with the birth of a child. I'd like to be around for at least, you know, the next, you know, 20, 30 years or so, maybe longer.
You're watching Ask Dave on rxmuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Reminder, this show is going to be a bit abridged because right after this show, we are going to introduce our brand new interview show called Live With, and our first guest ever is making news rounds right now in the bodybuilding world and outside the bodybuilding world. That's Janae Marie Kroc, formerly known as Matt Kroc. We go now to our livestream.com live chat box and check in with Jake Laser. And let's skip right to the actual question. Dave, when a promoter puts on an NPC show, what are the revenues and expenses to consider? I see the large crowds and growing entry fees, yet I don't understand if it's the NPC who's making money or the promoters. Can you shed some light on this topic and whether there will ever be a Palumbo Classic?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to promote shows. I have too much going on. But no, everyone seems to be making money, which is good. I mean, the promoter makes money in the sense that they charge application fees. So every athlete has to pay an application fee, whether it's the USA Championship at $350 an application or it's a local New York show at, I don't know what they're costing now, $85, $100. So that goes to the promoter. The sanction fee, which is the fee that you pay the NPC to hold the show and call it an NPC show, that goes to the NPC. So that's money. Also, the NPC card. Every person has to register to become an NPC member once a year, and that goes to the NPC. So the NPC makes the NPC fee and the sanction fee. The promoter makes the money off of the entry fees from the competitors, the sponsors, whatever they happen to charge the sponsors for booths and be on the poster, and then, of course, the ticket sales. So the promoters are doing very well nowadays because of the large, I guess, entries of the bikini division, the men's physique division, the figure division, and that's really building up these shows. And I think promoters are really making a lot of money, and I think that's why a lot of people want to go into promoting now. But once again, if we get too many shows, I think that could water it down a little bit. But you know, with bikini and men's physique, they're not afraid to compete 6-7 times a year, these guys and girls. So, you know, it's good times for the promoters, certainly.
Let's go to Peter Gazda. Dave, congratulations on the big announcement. Good question. Will you let him become a bodybuilder?
You know, that's a lot of people have asked me that question, and I've asked other people that question. My father, you know, always told me that, you know, I'll never tell you what to do, and I'll always support your decisions, and you know, I want you to be your own man. And I respected him for that, and I think that I would, you know, also give my child the same option of doing what he wants, you know, assuming it's not, you know, robbing banks, you know, which I wouldn't support, obviously. If he wants to be a bodybuilder, I'm not going to say, no, you can't, because I hate the sport, because I don't. I love the sport. I would hopefully guide him in a safe and positive direction if he did choose to do that. But if he didn't, I wouldn't say, you have to bodybuild, let's get you in the gym either. So, you know, I would like my child, I like to expose him to a whole bunch of different, you know, I want to make him a Renaissance man, so to speak, and let him choose of what he's exposed to, what he likes best.
Let's go to PA Kodiak on the Muscle Central forum on rxmuscle.com. Dave and Sid, I hate this show more than trying to come up with a witty line and intriguing questions week after week in an attempt to win a freaking gym bag or a jug of pre-workout to no avail. In parentheses, those species gym bags are pretty slick. Thank you. Pro bodybuilders from the 70s have mentioned back in the day they used to grow into a show. Is it really possible that they stayed in top conditioning year-round and then added lean mass right before a show, or does this term mean something else?
Well, you know, I've put on a couple pounds of muscle leading into certain shows in my life, early in my career, you know, when I was still growing. I think a lot of the guys that said they grew into shows, like the Kevin Lavronis and the Sean Rays, it was because they didn't train in the off-season. They didn't do anything, pretty much. I don't know why they chose not to do anything, but there were a couple guys like that. And then what they would do is, like, you know, 18, 20 weeks out from a show, they would start training and doing whatever they had to do, following their contest diet, and they would actually put size on from the off-season because they really never had an off-season. You don't really see guys that are huge in the off-season. When I was 300 pounds, or Ronnie was 115 pounds, or whatever it was, off-season, he didn't get bigger for a show. He did, however, you know, look better for the show because he got leaner. So I think most people don't grow into a show, although I've seen Akeem Williams do it, you know. But once again, he's still in the beginning of his career. Once you kind of hit your prime, you don't really put on muscle anymore. Especially, well, you can put it on the off-season. It's very hard to do while you're dieting.
We'll take one more from the Muscle Central forum and go to our good friend Anders Eskilsson. Dave, what will the bodybuilding and fitness media look like in 10 years from now? What are your predictions? Also, congratulations on the baby news.
That's a good question. You know, it's hard to predict. I think that there still will be media, obviously, covering the shows. I think that the fans will always demand that. How the promoters go about dishing out or divvying up the press credentials is up for debate. I brought up on the Heavy Muscle radio show this past Monday that I thought it was a bad idea that some of the promoters were starting to try to charge for press passes. Gary Udit is charging, I guess, for the Masters Nationals. MD paid $1,500. I wasn't there. He's also charging $1,500 for press credentials for the North American, which I was offered press passes for, but I refused to pay the $1,500 because there's no business model there. And I think that once we start paying for these things, it's going to set a bad precedent. And I just don't think the press should be free. The opinions of what the press feel should be free to the fans. They should be free to the athletes, because that's what the sport is about. It's about expressing, you know, what your opinions are. And after all, I truly believe that most bodybuilders who compete want to hear the truth. And that's the best way to hear it from the press. And it's unfortunate that some of the promoters have taken this stance. Hopefully, maybe they'll rethink their decisions, and maybe moving forward into next season, it'll change.
Let's go now to our Instagram page. Again, you're watching Ask Dave. Reminder, after this show, which we're going to end in just a few minutes, we're going to have our first episode of Live With. It's going to be a 30-minute interview show, and going forward, we are going to bring you some of the biggest names in the bodybuilding industry, in the fitness industry, some big newsmakers, and we're going to start it off with Janae Marie Kroc, formerly known as Matt Kroc, a transgender athlete who's really making the news rounds right now, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Let's go to our Instagram page. This is a good question, Dave. This question from mbell971. This show sucks worse than child support. All right, we're off to a good start. Would you trade the success of RX Muscle for a pro card and 2 top 10 Olympia finishes?
Not in a million years. No way. No way, because you know what? The pro card is meaningless to me. Most of the trophies I won are in the garbage. They don't mean anything. It's just, I know in my mind and in my heart what I accomplished, and that's enough. Even if you told me, would I trade it for an Olympia win, I don't know if I would do that. I don't think I would trade anything. I think everything in life happens for a reason, and I think this is where I'm supposed to be, and I don't think that I was supposed to be at, helming the Olympia. And so, I'm satisfied at where I am. Once you trade one thing for another, everything in your life changes. So where I am now would be completely different. So, and it might not be better. So I would just stick to where I'm at here.
We'll stick with the Instagram feed. And I want to pick this question because they are watching this show at 4 a.m. in Melbourne, Australia. Wow. So we definitely appreciate that. And this question from Dr. Superdose. I stayed up till 4 a.m. Melbourne just to tell you that your show sucks. My question, you've previously said it could be useful for a hard gainer with a fast metabolism to use insulin. What do you think of fast-acting insulin such as Novorapid, Humalog, versus a longer type of insulin such as Humulin R? I was led to believe that with fast-acting insulin, it's important not to consume additional fats for 3 hours post-injection. What are your thoughts?
First of all, I made a comment years ago. It's got to be over 15 years, where I said you should never eat fats when you're taking insulin. I dreaded the day I said that because I didn't mean it. I know people keep sending me. I don't even know where they find it. It's on like these old websites. You can eat fat while you're taking insulin. Insulin stores carbs as fat. It doesn't store fat as fat. So that's right off the bat. As far as taking insulin, if you figure out that you are a candidate to use insulin, you have a fast metabolism, like I said, you're taking growth hormone, you feel you're not absorbing your calories properly. I don't like the super fast acting insulins like Humalog, Novolog, even Apidra is even faster than Humalog and Novolog. Those are really designed for people who have no insulin production, type 1 diabetics. When they eat something, they want to get an immediate insulin release. We have our own insulin. If you're not a type 1 diabetic, your body's going to release its own insulin. You're just supplementing that insulin. So to me, I like to use a regular insulin, or a Humulin R, which is a slower acting. I mean, it's still fast acting, but it's kind of intermediary insulin. It releases initially right away about half of its load, and then the other half is released in about 2 to 3 hours. So usually it hits 2 meals. It'll cover the first meal and then the meal you eat 2 to 3 hours later. To me, it's a better way to take insulin. You don't get that huge drop in blood sugar real quickly. Once again, you're not trying to replace your natural production. You're trying to supplement it. So to me, that's a better way to go.
Take one more question from our Instagram feed from Benedu14. Hey, Dave, I hate this show so much. I'd rather be a species nutrition athlete and listen to you plug your products and add lies to the end of every word in the whole dictionary. What drugs do you cut out in the last week before a contest, and what drugs do you run all the way until show day?
Once again, and you've heard me say this before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you look great a week out, don't change anything. So I try not to remove or add anything different the last week or so before a show. The last 2 weeks, we might add a little halo testing in because it's a little bit of a hardening drug. But I don't really take anything out. Usually about the Wednesday before a Saturday morning show, I'll have the guys take their last testosterone shot. But everything else kind of stays in up until that. Like I said, why change anything if it's working? If you look great, don't take anything out, you know?
That is going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. Quickly, we're going to get you the best overall question, and I'm going to go with Peter Gazda from our live stream, live chat box, and that one was about whether or not Dave would allow his baby to be a bodybuilder at some point in the near future. And I would have loved to give the best I hate to the one in Melbourne, Australia. It's just that we just can't ship this to. We got to come up with a protocol for international viewers.
We'll ship Matt Meinrod's left testicle. That's what I'm giving away. If anyone names my baby correctly, if you guys have suggestions for male names, and I actually pick the name that you actually use, I will give you Matt Meinrod's left testicle. So just remember that, and we will ship that anywhere in the world. We'll ship it to China even.
So, P.A. Kodiak, you're going to win the best I hate, and that was, I hate the show more than trying to come up with witty lines and intriguing questions week after week in an attempt to win a freaking gym bag or a jug of pre-workout to no avail. Both winners, email me, sid@speciesnutrition.com, and we will get you set up. 2 very important programming notes. Right after this show, and I mean literally 5 minutes after we cut off this show, we are going to have our first ever episode of Live With 30-minute interview show. We're going to start the first ever one with Janae Marie Kroc, transgender athlete, better known, or formerly known rather, as Matt Kroc. So you're not going to want to miss that. She's making all sorts of news headlines right now, making the news cycle. So we're very pleased that we're able to have her on our pilot episode of Live With. And then tomorrow night, Iron Debate returns 7 p.m. right here on rxmuscle.com. Special guest John Romano. You're not going to want to miss out on that. Till next week, or rather in 5 minutes, we will see you on rxmuscle.com.